looky here. It's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
What the deal is we're at a very special museum that's here in Omaha, and Rod Edwards is with us right now. And Rod Edwards is the Director of Development at the America's Wall of Honor, and this is the location where they're doing the development, which you're in charge of the wall. Rod, thank you so much for getting in touch with us.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you, Pat and JT, for coming out today. And I've always been a huge fan of yours, so it's really nice to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
This is something that I think a lot of people have probably heard about. They've heard about other projects that are similar, and it's coming to Omaha in July of 2020 is when the unveiling will be. And I guess really I'm going to turn to you to kind of describe what it is that we're going to be seeing and how this was commissioned.
Sure. And we are just, the word's really just starting to get out. It's been a long process moving Tim Lampros, our artist, and the inspiration behind this. He moved out here from Los Angeles in January. Setting up the shop and studio here has taken some time to get it ready. Starting to build the wall. Actually, now we're to a point where we've got actually something to show, tangible to really show for it now. So what America's Wall of Honor is, it's going to be a nationwide touring tribute to our military branches and our first responders. It will debut in Omaha in July of next year over the Independence Day weekend at a major Omaha area event. And following that unveiling, it will go on a 3 to 5 year nationwide tour throughout the United States. So this is really, it's a big project for Omaha because it's being done right here, right now. It'll be unveiled here in Omaha. And people are starting to hear about it, and everybody who's been into the studio and the shop to see it have just been amazed by what it looks like. And we have a shop portion of the area. We also have a studio that has a lot of previous artwork from Tim Lampros.
Which is amazing. I mean, it really is. It's over how many years? I'm just going to tell you right now, because no secrets with Pat and JT.
Right.
Tim's actually here, and he's kind of running around the studio right now, and he's going to join us here in just a second and sit in one of the chairs. How many years have you been doing this? Since your first project, since that first badge?
It's a little deceiving because a lot of people walk into the showroom or they see the magnitude of what I'm doing, and they say, wow, your first piece must have been, 30 years ago. But that's really not the case. It was 7 years ago.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, now that's even less than I was expecting. That's
7 years ago.
Wow.
You know when they say your first part of your life is just warming up for what you're supposed to do? I have no education in design, and certainly no education in art. I was a firefighter paramedic. And then I got in the movie business, and I was tinkering around with welding, and I learned a lot about light and glass and that kind of stuff. And I had this idea of what to make, a vision, and it happened, and it went nuts. I mean, really fast because it's so visual.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. Let me just say, too, that one piece that a lot of people I'm sure have seen was the memorial for the Los Angeles Police Department. Yeah,
for people who don't know, Tim's first major creation, kind of the inspiration behind America's Wall of Honor, was the Los Angeles Police Department End of Watch Memorial Wall. And Tim had done some work for different parts of the Los Angeles Police Department, and the Los Angeles Police Protective Society came up with, why don't we do something on a larger scale? So Tim set out and built a wall that's similar in size to our wall here. Our wall here is 55 feet by 10 feet. The Los Angeles Police Department End of Watch Memorial Wall was similar in size. It had all of the historic badges of the Los Angeles Police Department done in much of the same artwork that we're doing ours in, all laser cut stainless steel, glass and embedded lighting. And then it also listed all 207 members of the Los Angeles Police Department who have lost their lives in the line of duty. That wall, in mostly the California, Los Angeles area, did make it to Sacramento and made it to Las Vegas. But that wall made 29 different stops while Tim was working with it, and over 2 million people saw it.
That's just in the Southwest. It really didn't venture much farther.
Yes, exactly.
This wall's going to venture much farther.
This wall's going to travel for 3 to 5 years throughout the country. So this wall will literally be seen by tens of millions of people.
That's incredible.
Okay, so why Omaha?
Well, that's
how Omaha?
that's
I'm
kind of a
just
funny
curious.
story. I'll tell it for Tim. Tim's in Los Angeles, and he did all the yeoman's work for the Los Angeles Police Department End of Watch Memorial Wall. That was a little bit of a regionalized effort. That was manageable. It was a ton of work. So Tim realized when he was going to take on something so large as a wall that's going to travel the entire country, he was going to need help. So his cousin Dan Stesney from Omaha, he called his cousin and said, "Hey, I want to concentrate on getting this built and getting it done. Would you be the CEO behind this? Because this is no small undertaking. Let me say this: we are all 100% privately funded. We are accepting no grant money from taxpayers. We're not going to take tax. We're not even going to try that because we think it's important to be kind of our own independent project."
Yeah.
So Tim approached his cousin Dan, and Dan said, "Sure, but you're going to move to Omaha. You need to move to Omaha." And lots of reasons behind it. Dan's established here, and if he's going to be CEO, he needed to be here. The cost of doing business, and we have a great state, a great city. The cost of doing business here is a lot less. It's much more affordable, which makes the project more feasible. And we're in the middle of the country, and if we're going to do undertake a nationwide effort, it's easier to work from the middle of the country than either of the coasts.
Makes complete sense.
Absolutely.
The wall, when I walked in here, this is not what I expected. Like it really does, and I know that it's not even close to being finished, really, and it blew me away just seeing this. It goosebumps, and we're not even what do you think? A third of the way done, maybe?
Not even.
Not even. The first piece, the cornerstone of the wall of the actual the wall is going to be the seal of the President of the United States, because we feel we need to, if we're going to honor the military and even the first responders, recognizing our commanders and chiefs is important too. It's also something that's not been combined with all these different things, and the pure artwork that's going into the seal is going to be, it's going to leave people mind blown. But yeah, just for people, I mean, we're podcasting here, but we have a life-size mock-up of the wall, just in black and white, so it's not even in color yet.
That's just, I mean, we'll have pictures that are going to be accompanying this, obviously. It'll be on our Facebook page and Instagram across the board. So you can see a picture of what the seal looks like so far. And it's not finished yet. That's the first one.
Yes.
Is that right? Because then all the rest of these are going to follow in the same
Exactly.
vein.
Up next is the seal for the United States Army, and then the Air Force will be after that. It is a total of, we have 7 different seals representing.
Yes.
Representing all the branches and our first responders, law enforcement. 8 different seals. Sorry.
Tim's over here. He's fact checking us.
So all these these seals are going to be built in kind of an order here. The wall's actually going to be built in 5 different sections. The presidential seal is going to be in its own section, and then 2 and 2 of the different branches and the first responders on it. Just logistics. It's easier to transport that way.
So left to right, we're looking at Fire and Rescue, National Guard, the Marine Corps, and then the SEAL of the Navy, United States Navy, then the President. The Army is after that, on around to the Air Force and the United States Coast Guard and law enforcement, city, county, state, federal.
Those are the seals.
So this is supposed to be unveiled July 4th weekend, 2020.
Independence Day weekend at a major event here in Omaha, or in the Omaha area.
And everybody in Omaha should be proud that it's being made here. I mean, that's something that when you see the studio and you see the bones of what you guys are making, it's just, one more thing that Omaha should be proud of, that the nation's going to love, and that it was made right here.
Absolutely. And we want to do it right in Omaha. We want to make sure that we're going to do plenty of press avails. We're going to do everything we can to publicize the fact that the wall is going to be unveiled here in Omaha, that it was built here in Omaha. Part of that, like I said, we are completely privately funded. So, one of my responsibilities right now is I'm out soliciting sponsorship and donations from Omaha area companies because this is a large undertaking. It's a multi-million-dollar venture to build the wall. For the most part, once the wall's on the road, it's going to be self-sustaining. We take great care of our sponsors. Penn Steel. Here's a great story. Penn Steel right here in Omaha is our laser cutter. They have donated so much to this wall, and they're so part of it. Penn Penn Steel Penny Rosso is a great story. She started her company in a 400 square foot apartment in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Had no idea.
Now she's a multi-million-dollar business here in Omaha. DH Pace Company provided us wall. Legacy Design Strategies is a major sponsor. Retire Smart with David Brooks. I mean, we've got a lot of great sponsors, and I apologize if I'm forgetting anybody else. The wall is, we have a 501c3 element to it, so we are a nonpartisan deal. There's no names are going to be on the wall. True story behind Tim's passion for this is the fact that he wants to promote positive, respectful, patriotic artwork and projects. Tim's, like he said, past firefighter, paramedic, actually past Air Force where he was fire crash rescue and worked on space shuttle missions. So there's a lot of, we feel that a lot of times our first responders, especially our police, are really beaten up in the public, really get a bad name. We feel really strongly that we need to pay tribute to them. Our firefighters the same. Our military, they have had their moments where they've been, attacked by people, and finally they're getting some respect. But we really want to pay tribute to them and make sure we respect them. And then, underlying, we've got a community impact mission too, and that is PTSD awareness and education. To me, it's one of the most important parts. Is there's going to be a PTSD education and resource center that's going to be part of the tour. We really need to work on PTSD education, providing resources. A lot of people really know about how it affects their military members and their families. Let's not forget their families. But
it's been in the conversation, like nationally, every once in a while it kind of comes up. But I think you're right. I mean, really need to shine a light on it and move forward on it.
The biggest part that we really need to shine a light on is our first responders. Our first responders are always taught that you're the tough one, you're the one who's running into the building, you're the one who's saving everybody. So there was there has been promoted in law enforcement and fire rescue, there had been promoted this image is like, you don't acknowledge weakness, you don't seek help for this. We really need to change that paradigm, and really it shows strength to reach out, because these guys see some of the most horrible tragedies out there in the world. We need to make it beyond acceptable for them to admit that they're having problems.
Right. I mean, for people that aren't first responders, that if they witness a terrible accident or something bad happens to them, it's okay. It's accepted that they can go to therapy, and it's years to get past that one thing. Well, first responders see that every day, if not multiple times a day. And they're just expected to push it down because they're tough and they're the ones that help everybody. And that's not fair.
Go get help, because we are losing a lot of first responders each year to suicide.
Yeah.
That's the other side of the discussion. Yeah.
And so, we need to do everything we can to help those people, to help their families, and to, like you said, shine a light on it so that we can start addressing these issues.
This is beautiful down here. And again, Rod Edwards here with us. And where's the museum? Where, if people want to see it, can they come down and take a tour? When are you open?
We are at, we don't have set hours, because we're all kind of, Tim works over here in the studio building the thing, and he's here 99% of every day. I don't think the guy sleeps, and he eats oatmeal, which you should really ask him about.
I see a lot of oatmeal.
Like by the handful. And now that you see the oatmeal, you're going to start seeing Quaker Oat advertisements show up in every single social media feed you have.
That is incredible. I saw it. It didn't register, but it's like Buy American Flag pillows up there. I don't know if, Tim, can we take a picture of your office before we leave? Because that's incredible. I love it. And do you warm up oatmeal, or you just eat it dry? Raw?
Yeah.
I've poured it, and then I pour hot coffee in my mouth.
Oh my God.
Actually,
actually,
Pat, you're not too far off from what
he does.
The
same thing, but you use like the packets.
Low sugar
Low sugar
ones.
too.
I pour the maple brown sugar and then hot
And
coffee.
then-
Yeah, you're cheating according to Tim, so
Really?
that's not going to work.
Oh my God.
Oh, here we go.
A couple things we would love everybody to go to Facebook and like and share America's Wall of Honor. If you go there, you can contact us.
That would be great. If they get online too, if you're not only on Facebook, but also americaswallofonhonor.com, you can see information there about donations, sponsorships, things that you can buy from their gift store. And it does talk about the tour, and you get to see some of the process and the timeline, which is kind of interesting when you get to looking at that, because it's like, wow, this is really ambitious. When I'm looking at the seal that's sitting over there that isn't yet completed and it's in the process,
Well, the presidential seal is by far the most complex, and just it is going to be when it's finished. And we just had our last laser cutting for the seal last Friday. So all the laser cutting of the stainless steel, 100% American stainless steel. By the way,
Awesome.
Wouldn't expect anything different.
That's right.
Yep.
But that was just done last Friday. But when the seal's done, it is going to be 17 layers. It's multiple layers of cut stainless steel.
Okay, when we walked in and we saw it sitting there, that was one of the first questions because it looks like a 3D puzzle.
Yeah.
That if you're into puzzles, you would geek out on this. But it does. It's sitting there right now, and nothing's attached right now. So it's the first thing I did. I touched it and I moved something. Very first thing, and I'm like, kind of touch. So I'm trying to tap it.
Was
back
anybody
in.
looking? Did you just
No.
put it back in there?
I tried to tap it back into place. He's over there looking right now.
Yeah,
What did
he's
she
checking.
touch? Yeah.
Well,
But I didn't take any. I'm not responsible for anything missing. This is awesome. Yeah, if you want to plan to come down here and take a look, get online and it has information about the tours. Is it a guided tour? I'm hoping that somebody's there to kind of walk you through and explain the pieces.
Either Tim or myself would be here to kind of walk you through, because when you really get to it, the whole story, behind all of the previous artwork. I mean, I showed you a piece. Tim actually knew the father of one of the Granite Mountain firefighters that was killed. Tim made a very special commemorative piece that he gave to that father now proudly displays in his den. So there's a lot of different things.
There's very personal pieces, and then there's funner one like the Sturgis, like you were talking
Sturgis. Tim's the only artist who was given permission to use the actual Sturgis logo, 78th
several of
anniversary logo.
Those are awesome. So tons of pieces that you can take a look at. What do you have in your hand here?
We also now when you're cutting. Tim, how big are the sheets? 5x10. So we cut the pieces to make the seals out of 5x10 sheets of stainless steel. So there's always going to be remnant areas around that. So we have cut out of the remnant areas a number of commemorative medallions and key tags. A lot of people kind of call them similar to like a challenge coin nowadays, but if you look at it, we have a bunch that were cut from the sheets of stainless steel that were used to make the presidential seal.
Great idea.
So when this is on there, and you could find these on our website as well. So when you purchase one of these, if you purchase a piece of steel that's cut from the presidential seal, when this thing's been on the road for 3 years, been seen by multiple $1 million of people, you will have one of a very limited number of pieces that were actually cut from that. So that's something that's available to you too.
Very cool
so you
collectible.
took what would be the scrap metal and turned it into something amazing. America's Wall of Honor presidential seal. And so check out the website. Take a look at that.
Twitter, at USA Wall of Honor. Same with Instagram as well.
And there's pictures of us here today and the wall as it is now on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And we tweeted those out as well. So you can go to facebook.com/it's Pat and JT.
So the wall that's up here now just gives you an idea, but I have a feeling it's going to be 100 times impressive. We were impressed just walking in and seeing the mock-up.
Like, it's finished already.
No,
like,
it's
no, it's not. It's awesome. And all this stuff, all the info you just gave is also in the show notes too. So if you didn't have a pen, or just check in the show notes, and all the links are right there.
Now, before we wrap this up, Tim, just your feelings on doing this project.
Boy, that's a long conversation. I'm not even sure if I deal with my feelings on the project currently, mainly because I do all the design work, and the design is not only creative, it's also mechanical. I'm not an engineer, but I have to engineer this, which will ultimately be around 20,000 pounds of steel that is mobile, going down the road, bouncing along and not break. Well, I've done that before.
I can't even imagine. Coming from somebody you served. You're looking at this from both sides,
Oh yeah, I'm actually looking at it from a different side now. Even though being a firefighter, paramedic, and being in the military, certainly that's my core insides. But in air quotes, artist. I've learned to just say thank you.
There you go.
That's hard. Sometimes just saying thank you is hard, right?
That.
Yeah.
Just to take it and say thanks.
And I appreciate it. I do. But I'm so critical of the art world right now. so critical that I just avoid conversations with people in the art world, because I just think the art world is narcissistic and sad. And so for me, kind of circling back to your original question, how do I feel about it? My feelings aren't involved with this piece. Your feelings are, because I don't care how I feel about it. I care how the public and other people's feel about it.
So when someone tells you for somebody, I mean, you're doing it
I'm
for
doing
the
it
public.
for everybody, and so I'm the least that needs to be involved with.
But when somebody gives you feedback and they become
take it
emotional or they this, then that's what you feed on. It's not
absolutely
the shininess of this.
And I have people, a lot of times people are afraid to give me criticism, but I take it and say, hey, I need that, and because I want to be better. I want it to be better for you or for the audience. So it's not how I feel or how I see it. It's how others feel about it, or that's what's more important. That's what I think is lacking in today's art world. It's everybody goes, well, I want to make something that, turns me on.
Or I want to make something that lives for 1,000 years and people remember my name.
Or something that everybody talks in the news about, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, statement.
Yes.
Right. A statement instead of something that's beautiful that in an instant second that it's beautiful and it's meaningful. It's shock value.
Well, shock value for me is finding out you've only been doing this for 7 years.
Right, that's the shock.
Yeah, that's crazy. Kind of a shocker to me, too.
Do you have like a most memorable piece that you've made in those 7 years?
Aside from working on this, before this, what
most memorable piece?
Maybe it's because of the way the people that received it, they felt about it, or it was a situation as why you created it?
I have two situations that are really, really powerful. One, my heart goes out to the Wojciak family in Los Angeles. Joe is a LA County fire captain, and he's since retired, but he's also runs the LA County Fire Museum. And one day I just stopped in to meet them early on in what I was doing, and he was sitting there with his wife and his daughter and his son. And just happened, I talked to all of them and showed them some of my work and said, yeah, maybe I'll do something for LA County. And just former firefighter, just talk. And 3 months later, his son, who was an LA County Fire cadet, got his first job. And his first job was for the Granite Mountain Hotshots. And so 3 months after he was hired, he went to the Granite Mountain fire and he was killed. And part of the 19 firefighters that were killed in Arizona. And I met him 3 months before, and it really meant something to me. I could imagine his Joe and his wife sitting there, at the door, getting the knock on the door,
Yeah.
So I sat down and I designed a piece for them, and I made them a piece, and it's the only piece that my name is not on it. And I didn't want my name on it. It was just like, oh God, my name is meaningless, in this situation.
Wow, yeah.
And so I was doing the very last thing, pulling some protective tape off of the background piece, because the foreground piece was sprayed and it couldn't get overspray on it, and it tore the piece underneath, and I went, oh no! And so I had to make another one.
Oh my gosh!
And so
I've heard
saw that piece on the showroom
right?
floor,
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were told you are a perfectionist.
Well, if somebody gives their life,
I know, and
they deserve something that is as close to perfection.
Sure.
I hear you.
So I made that. I gave it to the family. And they got cards and letters and fire department gifts from around the world. And Joe came up to me once and said, we've since become friends, said, that's the only piece that we hang up in our home. It means that much to us.
Wow, goosebumps right there. That's amazing.
That is just something to say, hey. And I didn't know him at the time. I met him once.
Yeah.
But so it's, and now he has a foundation in his son's name, and they raise money for equipment for cadets that need equipment to, pursue a career in the fire service. So that was a big one. And then making the family gifts for the Dallas 5 officers that were killed. Yeah. That was very personal. So those are the two. I've made huge memorials, but they didn't touch a person like those.
Back to what you said, it's not about the piece you're making, it's about how it makes people feel. And
totally.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Meaningless in the equation. And that's why, I don't want to go on the radio. I don't want to go on television.
Don't worry, you're just going to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
You're going to be. We are just glad that you talked to us. I mean, honestly, we really appreciate you giving us a buzz and kind of the heads up of what's going on. This means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Well, what you should do is come back.
We will.
We're going to have... Yeah, no.
Already got it in our calendar.
Put it in the schedule.
Yeah.
When we do have what I call the first light, we have a ceremony.
Oh.
You have to be invited, and so...
Rod, write us down on the list. Okay, all right.
And what we do is we reveal the piece with the first time and the first light. And so each one of these pieces...
Yeah.
We'll get that kind of ceremony, and we're getting an off-site location, so the pieces will go to a real secure, private, clean, safe place because they're priceless after they're done. And we'll have the first light maybe in the shop, maybe not, maybe there, but it'll be for a few people, and maybe you guys would cover it.
It'd be an honor to do that. That would be amazing.
So that's going to be exciting, and that's probably in about 5-6 weeks or so, that first one. And I heard you guys talking about the time. You're like, I've seen how much they got to do. I don't know if the guy can do it.
I did not say that. I did not. I said
that was the sentiment.
It was ambitious.
It's a lot of the work since we got here was, of course, in the facility. It has to be right to get this job done. But was the number one problem was the laser cutter, and I don't say problem. Problem's not the right word. Challenge.
There you go.
And I said that when we moved here. I told Dan. I says, I spent years finding the right laser cutter and working with them to get it right, because there's a lot of inherent difficulties with cutting something like this. And I'll give you one sterling example. But when we met with the first few laser cutters in Omaha, it's not like LA. There's not like a laser cutter on every other corner. Mm-hmm. There's only a few of them in Omaha, and every single one had turned down the project.
Wow.
They said, this is way over our heads. We don't want to, we really would love to do it. We know we can't.
They know their limitations.
Yeah. So we met with Penny at Penn Steel, and she said, I'll take it on. And we met with him several times. I says, look, there's going to be challenges. This is going to be a bumpy road. Mm-hmm. I just want to know that you won't give up. Mm-hmm. And she goes, I won't give up. And boy, it got tough. Mm. And so the very first piece that we cut is the largest piece, and it's the most complex because it's the base, and it kind of lines everything up. So they were really delaying. They were delaying the cut week after week after week. And finally, we got to cutting, and I'm standing there talking to Ted. He's the vice president of operations. And so, we're watching it cut, and he goes, well, Tim, I guess I could tell you now what the problem was. I says, yeah, I'd really like to know because it can't take this long. He said, when we loaded up the file, he goes, our normal cuts of what we do have, 10 to 20,000 character points, data points in a file for us to cut. And when we loaded yours in, it had over 8 million. And
time to upload.
So it came down to math.
Yeah.
It came down to computer ability. And so he goes, it kept crashing. So we had to call the manufacturer, who was in Germany. And their response was, well, we knew we would get this call someday, and now we just did. He goes, we built a back door into the program to handle something like this.
Crazy.
And this is how you do it. So he goes, it took a couple weeks to get the laser set up to handle your files.
But now they can.
And so it went from cutting the first cut in a month and prepping it, the programming it, to the last file took 2 days. So now we're on track.
Yeah.
And now we'll get cruising.
How exciting.
It is very exciting, because when you
awesome.
come back next, we'll have 3 in various stages of completion, and you'll see it sort of moving along, and it'll be like, wow.
It is kind of like the assembly line. It's set up for that.
Isn't it?
It's set up for that because you've got the different tables, so everything will be at a different stage. You've got the first one is out here, and now you're just going to keep adding to it.
Yes, and it gets very dirty. Some of this work is extremely dirty. So we have a shower, And so some of the guys that do the dirty work will have to shower before they go and eat lunch and then before they go home. So it's not all just,
not all glamorous.
No. Oh, boy. But anyway, so that's a little bit of the story.
Thank you for taking time. Tim. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Rod, thank you very much for, again, for having us out, and we look forward to coming back.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
One other thing, too, we wanted to throw into is Kugler Vision. I want to thank them for being a supporter of our podcast. And they continue on through the month of August, by the way. You get that consultation in, and that means you got to go to kuglervision.com. You can schedule it yourself for the date and the time. Get it in, you're automatically in that drawing for the $250 prize pack for the teacher of your choice or the school of your choice. $100 gift card goes along with that, and $150 for the mark for you. I was talking with Stephanie the other day at Kugler Vision, talking about that there are some things you shouldn't have anymore. And one of them we were talking about was cell phones, your old cell phones. But it's out there. Things have changed. And embrace the new technology. Same way with your eyes. If you're still wearing glasses or contacts, bifocals, readers, Kugler Vision probably has better options for your bad vision. You can call Kugler Vision at 402-558-2211, book that consultation, or like we said, get online. The incredible surgeons at Kugler Vision are the only ones in Nebraska that offer all 7 forms of advanced vision correction. And so once you have that consultation, they put all your options on the table that are right for you. Get online at, again, kuglervision.com.
Tell me you heard it from the Pat and JT podcast.
Yes.
Pat and JT.
Pat and JT podcast. A Parkville Media Production.